All right, Bulk and Spur, on our last episode, we talked hauling flour, where everything is sealed, sanitized, and protected. But today, we're talking about the other side of bulk. That's minerals. Now, no seals, no bakeries waiting, no Marcus missing out on pizzas if a load gets contaminated. But don't confuse fewer restrictions with less responsibility, because these loads are building roads, factories, and cities. And just like food grade, there is a right way to do it and a wrong way. We got a couple gentlemen here joining us today that are going to take us through that. Welcome to the show.
You're listening to Always Pneumatic, Never Static, the totally pressurized podcast brought to you by Bulk Transit, where we keep the lines clear, the tanks empty, and the conversation anything but dry. Whether you're running powder, pellets, or anything in between, pull up a seat, crack the windows, and let's hit it.
Bulk and Spur Transit, what's happening? Welcome into Always Pneumatic, Never Static, episode number 5 here. We already on episode 5? That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here and clicking download today. Had a little bit of a short circuit there, but we're back. So happy to be here with you guys today. This little kind of 2-episode group that we've got here for episode 4, which was last week, episode 5 this week, sort of play off of one another. I didn't want to call it part 1 and part 2 because they're totally different. I mean, we've got feet in 2 different ponds here when you're really thinking about what we're getting into. We talked about flour last week, food grade, clean, keep it tight, keep it sealed, get that red X sign, the whole thing. Well, this week, we're going on to the dirty side of the fence, and we're going to talk hauling minerals, limestone, concrete, lime pebbles, all of it. There's a lot of stuff that Bulk and Spur hauls, and let me tell you, some of it just isn't as clean as the food grade stuff. And we've got a couple of gentlemen that are going to come in here with a lot of experience here in just a few minutes and talk to us a little bit about the job, the ins and the outs, and what exactly they're doing on the daily. So very excited about that. As you are starting to get used to now as the podcast matures, this is the homework portion of the segment or of the show. We've always got to do it. We've got to tell you guys because there's new people listening every week. That's the goal until all of you at Bulk and Spur are full-time fans and click and download every single week. So I always want to make sure and mention this off the top so that everybody can go find our awesome website. Podcast.bulktransit.com is where you want to go. Now, that is the landing page. That's the surface. That's the aircraft carrier, right? Everybody's going to that. And strangely enough, this is something that we've learned over the years making podcasts for trucking fleets is that we see they actually prefer to go to the website. Podcast.bulktransit.com rather than going to Spotify or Apple or Google or YouTube or blah, 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 you name it. Kind of just one comprehensive space for everything that we're going to do on this show. And so just bookmark it. Put it in your phone. This is kind of cool. I made it my homepage, so every time I open a browser, it takes me there. That's something you could do too if you get into the podcast. And the other thing that I want to really drive home here, and we're going to keep saying it for at least probably the first 10 episodes, you are welcome on this show. If you're out there and you're wearing the Bulk or the Spur logo, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in a terminal, if you're out on the yard and you're yard jockey is what they call them, I think, or you're a shop guy. Look, I know the shop guys are very busy, and I understand we probably won't get as much time with the shop guys on the show as what we will with drivers and some of the other employees, but you're still welcome to come on here and talk about the gig or talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. I could see us getting into some hunting episodes. I hear we got a lot of NASCAR fans out there at Bulk and Spur. Maybe we got some football fans. I'm a big football fan myself. We can talk, I don't even care. We'll talk wrestling if you want to. Pro wrestling too, the scripted stuff. It doesn't matter. The point is we're here to showcase the culture and the great things going on at Bulk and Spur. So all you got to do is reach out to me, and you can do that if you want to be on the podcast by going to podcast.bulktransit.com. Okay, last episode, we talked about hauling flour, right? Seals, sanitation, red X's. You heard me say it in the open. It's the kind of job where one mistake could ruin 50,000 pounds of food that I might eat. And I don't like that. I'm not okay with that. I told you on the last show, my donut intake alone probably keeps the Kroger in my neighborhood's doors open. So that's very important stuff that you're hauling there. However, today we're talking about rocks, well, minerals. And a lot of people will hear that and go, that's not going to be even close to as important as all of the pizza I eat. And maybe you're right, but also maybe you're probably wrong because the stuff that we're talking about today, it has to happen first before we can build the bakery for you to put my donuts in, right? So if the work that's getting done by the mineral guys never happens, the road that you travel to get your slice of pizza at your favorite New York style pizza place doesn't exist. And if you don't believe me, think about the roads in the winter. Think about the potholes. Think about the worst road you've ever driven down as far as the surface is concerned. Yeah, that's the type of stuff we're talking about today. And without it, things get bumpy. Things go to heck really, really fast. So that's enough of me pontificating about it. Let's get the experts in here. We're about to bring in Rob and Mike, two guys that have an absolute treasure trove of experience, and we had a really good chat about the mineral world. So check it out right now. Welcome back into Always Pneumatic, Never Static. Very excited to be joined by these next two gentlemen. Joining us first here, we've got the terminal manager from the Fairborn terminal, Rob Shope, joining us today. Rob, thanks for being here, my friend.
Thanks, Marvis. Appreciate it, man.
Of course. And also joining us, we've got a driver. Now, Mike, you're going to have to help me. Are you based out of the Fairborn terminal?
No, Sydney Terminal, right up the street.
Okay, Sydney Terminal. That's Mike Short that you hear there on the phone. Mike, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Now, let's just jump right in, Mike, and get started. Hear about a little bit of your background. How long have you been driving for Bulk, and what were you doing before you got here?
26 years with Bulk, and before this, I worked for a furniture moving company out of San Diego, and did that for 5 years before I moved here to Ohio.
And how much did the furniture moving kind of help you get ready for the job you're doing now, Mike?
Moving furniture, I was pretty strong young man. Not that this job takes a lot of strength, but the thing I like about what I do, hauling limestone in a tanker, is it's not just driving. It's a physical job, which I was ready for that because I was pretty fit. I like to work instead of just sitting and driving.
For sure. Well, I mean, hauling furniture is great. If you're not going to be out there throwing straps on a flatbed, I think hauling furniture might be one of the next best things you can do as far as staying in shape is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. And I saw the whole United States. It was great.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Rob, let's go through your background a little bit. First of all, how long have you been the manager out there at Fairborn, and what led you to that point in your career? What were you doing before that?
Well, I was a police officer actually for 5 years. Before that, I used to work for, I hate to say it, but a competitor of Bulk Transit. That business, they went out of business, and I got into law enforcement, and then after that, I wanted to come back to trucking. So I was a driver here for a couple of years, and I got brought into the office to see if I wanted to do the terminal manager position, and maybe my 10th year will be 10th year with Bulk. I was like I said, driver for a couple of years before that, but yeah, can't ask for anything better.
That's awesome.
Never thought I would enjoy the inside the office work, but yeah, I really enjoy it.
That's actually where my question was going to come from, because I've already talked to some guys. Actually, our last episode, we talked to a driver, Abdul, who just said I couldn't do it. I had to come off the road. Was it kind of like a slam dunk decision for you, Rob, or was it one of those things that you went back and forth on for a while, because the two worlds are so different, right? Being in the office and being out on the road.
Oh, totally different. Yeah. I think it made me a lot more comfortable once I talked to Brian, and when I went through the interview process for the actual job. I think it helped me out, because I asked him, I said, well, if I take this position and I don't like it, is there a possibility that I could keep my seniority and go back to trucking? And he kind of hesitated for a moment, but he says, yeah, I think we could possibly do that. And then I knew that I had to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew the business from before. I owned my own trucking company, and then I knew everybody that I worked with, because we were all drivers. So it was a good move. It was different for me, but I grew to love it. So been in here for 8 years now, almost, yeah. So.
That's great, man. So I have to ask, just being a kind of a student of human nature here, what was the 5 years in law enforcement like? Because that's also quite a departure from trucking in general, whether you're sitting in the office or behind the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I loved it. But, the pay, the hours, everything it takes a toll on you.
Sure.
It really does. And at that point in time, we were doing, I guess you call it, it's when everybody was getting, the police were getting, just ransacked, and just, people were just shooting people right and left. And, during that time, I think I made my choice when we were allowed to have our FOP plates on our personal vehicles, when they canceled those, just so we weren't attacked on in our personal vehicles or anything like that. I think that maybe just drew the line for me. It was still a great experience. So, but I like this a lot better.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad to hear it. Well, you'll learn as this podcast matures that we have great respect here for our veterans, our first responders, our law enforcement officials on this podcast. And even though it's not something that you stuck around with, and for reasons I totally understand, we appreciate the 5 years of service that you did give your community, Rob. That's really cool. And there's not too many. I know some former law enforcement guys and some guys that are still in law enforcement. You're one of few that I've found that will admit that they're an adrenaline junkie. I think a lot of them are. They just don't know that about themselves. So
Yeah.
that's cool, man. Any other hobbies that really spike the adrenaline?
Yeah, I still I used to race motocross competitively, and I still ride. So I'm getting old. I'm 50, gonna be 51 years old. So yeah, it's got to quit it sometime though. Yeah,
Yeah, either you quit it or it'll quit you. One of the two, man.
yeah, we just don't
That's the
heal
way
up
it
as
goes.
quick anymore.
Mike, I wonder, as a driver right now, if I came to you tomorrow and said, hey, you want a job in the office, are you taking it?
Absolutely not.
You like being out there.
My office has 18 wheels.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, let's jump into that a little bit. And Mike, you kind of already answered this, but just to put it out there for the beginning of this part of the conversation, how long have you been hauling on the mineral side, Mike?
26 years.
Okay, so you might have covered this as well. I know I kind of honed in on the furniture part. Did you haul anything else for bulk before you got into minerals, or did you come right in and just jump in and start going hauling the limestone?
Just jumped right into limestone.
Okay. Anything in particular that attracted you to it in the first place, or was that just kind of where they put you?
No, I had a choice of limestone or plastic, and I was trained on both. Chose limestone basically because it's less driving, more work, which I prefer. It's a little dirtier than plastic. Limestone guys will tell you you're always covered in limestone. It's dirty, but I guess I prefer that over plastic. It's just I did them both, and this is where I chose to be.
So you might tell somebody that was maybe on the fence about it that maybe that's the key point. If they're thinking minerals or plastic, you would say, listen, you're going to be out of the truck more, working a little bit harder if you're hauling the limestone. That accurate?
That's very accurate. I actually do a little bit of the training. I train most of the limestone guys, and I give them the positives and the negatives of both, and say just do both and see which one you prefer. And some guys do both instead of just one or the other. So
sure,
it's the nice thing about bulk is there's options. I actually know Rob a little bit personal, and I do help him on the weekends every once in a while. I don't know if he knows that or not. I don't deal with him. I deal with Kathy in the office, but he hauls cement, so there's another option
for sure. Rob, were you going to add to that there? You chimed in. I wasn't sure if we lost you for a second connection wise, or if you had something to say.
No, I was just going to say thanks, Mike. We always loved when you want to do weekend work, and we get super busy, and you always step up to the plate to help us out down here. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you letting me. Thank you.
Mike, have you ever looked over at a trainee that looks like he's just been out in the Mojave Desert in a dust storm and think maybe he's not going to be cut out for this? What are some of the stories you've got with your trainees? Because, listen, you can be taught all about this job from top to bottom, and then you get out there in the cab of the truck and you realize, wow, this ain't the classroom anymore. What sort of things do you look for when you're training a driver to make sure that they've got the stones for hauling limestone?
Well, I don't want to say anything personal about somebody, but you can tell when you're training somebody whether they're going to stick around, or sometimes the guys they'll say after a day or two, it's like, this isn't me. It's too dirty, or I just want to hold a steering wheel, or they're just, truck driving. There's so many different options and so many opportunities. You just need to find what you're happy with. Mm-hmm. You're in your truck a third of your life, so you find what you're happy with, and there's plenty to choose from. So,
sure, that's good advice there, Rob. From your end of things, what do you look for in a great driver out there, Fairborn? Obviously, you said you're hauling cement, so a little bit different than what Mike's doing. But what are your best drivers out there doing every day, so that the people listening to this podcast know where the standard is, just in case they decide that your terminal's one they want to come work for?
Right. Yeah, we got guys that we haul cement. Okay, that's our. We are the primary carrier for Fairborn cement. We haul cement. A lot of guys don't know that why we haul cement. I mean, they don't understand the dry bulk part of it, and I try to explain to everybody, it's called ground stabilization. Okay, if you're building a building, if you're making new roads, anything like that, the ground has to be stabilized. Okay, and what we do is we haul the cement to a specific location. Let's just say they're building a new Amazon building or something like that. We pump it into a spreader truck. The spreader truck spreads it down on the ground. Then they till it with a water truck and a tiller, and then they roll it. And then then it sets up, and that's how they build on the ground. Same way what they do on the road jobs as well. I mean, if they hit a pothole, and we see this every winter, the potholes start forming. Well, that ground wasn't stabilized enough, or it's just the weight from the trucks and everything else are just destroying the roads. Well, they dig up that road, we stabilize it, and that's how we build the roads. People don't understand that they're actually on construction sites like 90% of the time when they're working for us.
Yeah. And, if you want a really good visual perspective, there was a news story that just came out of Omaha last week where there's a couple of rigs parked at a stoplight and a sinkhole just opens up beneath them. Fortunately, everybody was okay, but it dropped a full-size pickup and like a Prius, down into a sinkhole. And what it looks like there, Rob, is like the stabilization of that chunk of road has just deteriorated over time. And what you see is the concrete stays formed, or the blacktop stays formed over the top of it, but there's just a chasm underneath of it.
Correct. Yeah, it's so I mean, and cement's not the only thing we haul. So I kind of tell everybody, pretty much every product that we haul, and try to get a feel for, or even hopefully they ask some questions of why do you haul that? What do you haul? Like for instance, pebble lime. We haul. Now he hauls crushed limestone. Mike does, but we haul pebble lime, and even though it's limestone, it's two different things. We haul it to the water treatment plants, for them to, for us to have safe water to drink. It raises pH, it cuts out water impurities, stuff like that. And it makes it softer for us to use every day and drink.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And see, that's why I want you guys to just, feed me this information. I got to learn about the company sometime, and every single episode, I'm learning so much more. So is there anything else besides the pebble lime and the concrete?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We haul sand and talc. It's actually sand, but they call it actually talc. So,
okay.
And we haul a lot of that, to a roofing company called Atlas, Roofing. And, you would think that they were putting the sand on the shingles themselves, right? But they're not. They're using it as a backing surface.
Oh.
Or when the shingles get packaged, they do a small spray of this talc and this real thin sand, and it keeps them from not sticking together. The asphalt shingles from sticking together, and it's like you would think they'd be putting the sand on the top of it, but no, they have a whole different grit of different surfacing stuff they do. But this is for backing and for packaging, and so when they're stored, they can still come apart real easy.
Sure.
That's
amazing. You just never know what the trucks you're driving down the road next to are hauling and why they're hauling it, man. That's so cool. Well, thanks for that, Rob. I appreciate getting a little bit more insight there. And the one thing that's kind of a common thread here, as we've been talking about the mineral side of things, is we've already mentioned it, Mike, that it's a little bit of a dirtier job. And I do want to dig into that a little bit because I've got close to probably 300 podcast episodes under my belt that I've made specifically for and with truck drivers. And there's kind of two schools of people. There's guys that really care about the cleanliness of not only the inside, but the outside of their rig. And there's guys who it doesn't matter to them. First and foremost, Mike, I'm going to ask you the question. Are you a clean truck guy or are you a dirty truck guy?
Let's go in the middle.
Right in the middle? Okay. That's a fair place to be. So is it something where you're cleaning out your truck because of the dust like every week, like every couple of weeks? Is it a couple times a week? What's the protocol there for you, Mike?
Well, I load out of a gravel pit, and rain, the limestone on the road turns to mud, so your truck is always covered in mud, and they do have facilities where you can rinse off, which helps. When it's hot and dry outside, the limestone floats around and it does get inside your cab. You open the door, it covers your dash. I have an air gun in my truck and I blow it out constantly, but I don't use Armor All on my dash because it's just going to stick. The limestone will stick right to it. So my truck's not dirty, but it's not a show truck for sure.
I hear you, man. Well, it's a tool of the trade, and obviously, if you're loading out of a gravel pit, you're kind of hamstrung there. You're gonna get dirty. That's just the way it goes, and the mud and everything, especially. I grew up in a very rural community, and it was up in the mountains. And we had something every year that we called spring breakup, which was when that deep freeze that's been there for 4 or 5 months finally kicks out, and all of a sudden it goes from frozen to the worst mud conditions that you'll ever find, and then all the water goes away, and suddenly we're in a dust bowl. I'm very familiar with it. I love the fact that you keep an air gun in your truck. I never thought about that, but it probably helps to kind of consistently blow it out rather than waiting for it to stack up and trying to clean it all at once, right, Mike?
Absolutely.
And is it like every time you get into your truck, you're blowing it out? How often are you doing it?
Well, I haul 3 or 4 loads a day. I travel short distances,
Right.
so it takes about a 2-hour round trip. What I do, and I blow it out all the time, so 3-4 times a day.
So can you describe some of the places you're going to, Mike? Because obviously you're loading out of the gravel plant pretty consistently with your customers. What are the environments like there? Are they pretty dirty as well, or do you tend to go to some cleaner environments? What's it looking like where you're landing with your loads?
My main customer is it's called Polyfill, and they produce rubber parts for cars. The floor mat and the trunk mat and the side panels. I also do it's called DAP. They make caulking material.
Mm-hmm.
And we do clay targets, the shooting target.
Oh yeah, clay pigeons.
Yeah, that's about 70% limestone is how that is made up. Another place I do is the bouncy, like at children's playgrounds, the mats that they play on bouncy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we haul to them. Couple asphalt companies use limestone. We take to them. But that's basically about what I do.
And when you know that you're providing critical products for all of these different things to be made that are used by millions of individuals every day, Mike, does that sort of make you take a little bit more pride in what you do every day?
Sure, absolutely. It's nice knowing you're producing product for and a lot of people don't realize limestone. We used to they make comps, and that's limestone. It's actually edible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love learning about all the different things. It's so cool. Rob, I want to go back to you here real quick because before we leave the sort of truck cleanliness side of things, I want to hear about it from a terminal manager's perspective. When you're walking the lot, Rob, and you see a truck that is just pristine, what goes through your mind? Does that tell you anything about that driver other than just they like a clean truck?
Oh yeah. We got one that's this guy gets a truck about every 4 or 5 years, it seems like, and the day it came off the showroom floor, it still looks the same inside and out. Wow. I don't know how he does it. I really don't.
That's amazing.
Right, because just the wear and tear that'll happen from being at the places you guys are at would show over time.
He hauls a lot of plastic, but still, it's every day he gets out and cleans it, wipes everything down. He's really good. You can even ask Andrew, Brian, and Brad. They know him. They know how clean his truck is. It looks like is a used truck. It looks like it's brand new when he
That's
returns
amazing.
it.
That's so cool. I bet you they love that when it comes time to sell that truck and get him a new one because they know it's just going to be top dollar for that one. Yeah,
for sure.
That's awesome. So what about some of the dirtier trucks you've seen? You got any stories about just exactly how wrecked these things can get after they go through a lot of turn and burn?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're in construction sites every day, so and then where we're getting the concrete at Fairborn Cement, they got to keep their driveway wet in order to keep the dust down. So really, you're not gonna not get into it. So not unless you're over the road doing plastic or something like that. You're gonna be going to GM plants and stuff like that are clean and just kind of like food grade stuff. You're not going to
Right.
get dirt and get dirty and all that stuff like that. But
Sure.
yeah, it's these guys know that they know the job. They know what it entails. I got guys that love road jobs. I got guys that don't like them. They don't like to be on the side of the highway, or they don't want to be at the construction sites. And it is we've heard this in the other podcast that it's a dirty job, and you're out in the elements. You're out in the elements. It doesn't matter if it's rain, snow, sleet. You're out there in it. So not only are you driving in it, you're also tracking it back into the truck too.
Right. What do you tell your drivers, Rob, about the message that keeping your equipment a little bit cleaner might send to the customer? You ever have any conversations like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, anytime I walk the lot, I mean, we have people that come and wash the trucks, it's like every other week. But we also have where we can just go get them washed, and bulk could just, we got accounts at certain places. But yeah, I mean, we want our equipment to look the best. I mean, it's just hard to do in what we do to make it, look like a show truck, I guess you call it.
Sure. And there's some guys out there doing what you guys do that would say if that truck looks like a show truck, that means he's not working hard enough, right?
That's funny.
Mike, coming back to you here, what's something, the way I'm kind of wanting to frame this next round of questions there, you got guys that are out there listening to this show right now that do not work for Bulk and Spur. And the reason they're listening is because they're feeling out companies and trying to find a good one to go to work for. So talk to those guys for a second for me, Mike. What makes mineral hauling challenging in ways that somebody that's never done it before might not expect?
Well, we actually load and unload our trailers. It's mostly silo load. You have to weigh your truck and pull under a silo and open your lid and close your lid, and of course get the paperwork. And when you deliver the material, it's just not bottom dump. You have to hook up your PTO, your blower, and there's each truck's a little bit different, but there's 5-6 valves that you have to operate while you're unloading. So it's not just pull in, open a door. They take the load out and then you close the door and move on. It's actually, you have to learn pressure and the right RPMs for your PTO, and you have to watch your valves while you're unloading. After 26 years, I can just hear it and know I'm okay. But a new guy, they'll stand there and watch their valves, and you get up to 12, 13 pounds. And that's a good range to be in to unload, and they'll watch it. And but after you get comfortable with it, everything's running smooth. But it's like I said, there's the reason I love it is it's actually physical work, not just sitting and holding the steering wheel. You get to unload and load and operate the valves, and
it sounds a lot more detail oriented than just bumping docks, Mike. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. Rob would agree with that.
Rob, anything to add?
Absolutely. Yeah. He's perfectly correct. You definitely have to work the trailer, and don't let the trailer work you, because it can actually be a really bad day if you plug up and you don't really understand what you're doing. It can make for a long and messy day, because especially if you're doing lime, pebble lime, that stuff's it's not good to breathe in. You don't want to deal with a spill. You're going to have to clean everything up if you do spill something. So, yeah, definitely have to work the trailer, and don't let it work you. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's really well put. Mike, could you share a story with us of a time where maybe you didn't have your A game and something went wrong, just to sort of illustrate how quickly things can go wrong if you're not Johnny on the spot?
Well, like Rob was saying, if you plug up your trailer and you're not paying attention, the pressure will continuously keep pounding that material into the hose and the bottom pipe, and it will compact more and more and more. So if you catch the valves plugging up or the hose plugging up, and do the process, you can unplug it, within 30 seconds. But if you're not paying attention and you plug up, you will make a mess. You better have a broom and a dustpan and a gaylord to put it into, and it sometimes you have to take the pipes apart to get it out. So you do have to pay attention and act quickly if you plug up.
Lots of lost time if you let that happen. And as we know in trucking, time is money, right, Mike?
That's absolutely. Plus, you're losing the material that came out of your truck.
Right.
And customers don't like that.
Have you ever gotten out of your truck and realized that you were just covered from dust, covered from head to toe in dust, Mike, and hadn't been paying attention? I just have this picture in my head of you getting out. What was it? One of the flower guys told me that they've had a little bit of a blowout before, and they look like Marv from Home Alone after he gets shocked. So I got to ask about the dirtiest you've ever been, man, as we kind of head towards the close of this segment.
Well, I can't give you an analogy like that. That's pretty good. I like that Home Alone analogy. But yeah, one time it wasn't my fault, but yeah, it was. No, I'm kidding. I actually blew a hose, and it only take a second when you're unloading at 15 pounds, and it popped a hole in the hose big enough to where the material just started flowing out, and it looks like a huge dust storm, and you have to jump into it kind of blind looking, and close your product valve first so it stops the flow. And within 15 seconds, you're covered, the ground's covered, and you do look like Mr. Home Alone.
Rob, how about you? I know you went a couple years driving. You got any stories like that where you just got absolutely tattooed with your product?
Oh yeah. I remember I was delivering to a place called Blacklick, and I was paying attention. But it don't matter when you blow a hose. It really don't matter if you're paying attention or not, because it's coming out of there so fast, and then you gotta react and shut the product down before you can do anything. And I got covered. Blacklit got covered. Yeah, it was a mess, but everybody was paying attention. Thank God nobody got hurt. That was pretty much the only issue. I was so concerned that because you couldn't see anything. I mean, once you blow a hose of concrete, it takes a while for the fog to settle. So.
I imagine so. Well, that's good that nobody got hurt. Obviously, that's the first thing we want to highlight, because we know how important safety is. And it's a part of this that in this conversation, it's sort of just been assumed, right? But obviously a big part of your job every day, Mike, is the safety of all of these valves and the pressure that you're working with. And you can tell after your 26 years that there's a lot of mind paid to safety there, Mike. But I figure we go ahead and just mention it to the listeners, because I'm sure you can tell us it's a very important part of your everyday gig.
Yeah, absolutely. There's reasons for hard hats and reflective gear, and there's reasons for safety valves on your trailer and blowdown valves to release the pressure. Never open your lid. It makes common sense, but you don't open your lid if your tank's pressurized. And I've seen the results of somebody that didn't listen to that. Thank goodness it wasn't somebody from Bulk Transit, but nonetheless, it's you open your lid without releasing the pressure, it's ugly.
I assume so.
Safety is very important.
Yeah.
It may be monotonous or boring to you, but the rules are put there for a reason. So just follow them and get home to your family.
Absolutely. Most important part. And not to make light of it, we don't give you those high-vis vests so that you look pretty. I do look really good in one, but that's not what they're for. So just make sure you're always paying mind to safety. Obviously, number one job out here. Fellas, I greatly appreciate the time. I don't have a lot more for you here. I'm going to come to you here in just a moment after one more question for each of you for your final thoughts, and we'll get this wrapped up and get you headed back to work. But kind of wrapping it up here, Rob, I want to know what makes you proud of the mineral drivers that are driving for you out there at Fairborn. You want to send them a message right now? Anything to say about the squad out there?
Oh yeah, I mean these guys, they're like family to me. Seems like every person I hire and they get involved with this. They just seem like family, just like the Wolves seem like family to me. My guys feel like family to me. Even Mike Short feels like family to me because he does such a great job and helps us out. Yeah, it's one of those things to where you bring them in and they like doing what they do, and you just want to praise them. I mean, and because it makes my job easier when they know what they're doing. Okay, I like to be detail oriented and make sure everybody knows exactly how this load's going to be going and what you have to do, and just be very well on instruction, I guess you call it. So nobody makes mistakes, nobody grabs the wrong trailer, nobody contaminates a load or stuff like that. But yeah, these guys have I mean, they make my job easy, and I couldn't do it without them. So this job here, you wouldn't need a terminal manager at Fairborn if these guys didn't do what they did. So
yeah, for sure. Well said there. Mike, what makes Bulk the company to drive for, man? Why are you still here?
Well, I don't want to sound redundant, but I'm going to. But it's so family based. You're not a number. You're a person, and all the other drivers that we work with all get along well and work together and help each other. And I don't want to sound, corny, but it's true. It's family. And Rob said it very well. Everybody works together, even other terminals. It's very well run organization, good company, and that's what keeps me here.
Yeah, it's understandable, man. And I've been a little bit of a fly on the wall here for a few weeks now. Obviously, the podcast is still very young, but Rob, you guys have invited me to a couple of your terminal manager meetings there. I mean, just some of the most efficient work I've ever seen. I love the way you guys run your meetings. Everybody's in, everybody's got their information, and everybody's out. It's a well-oiled machine, and I think the family aspect of it is what allows it to be that well-oiled. You guys are all so comfortable with one another. The communication's there. Everybody knows what page everybody else is on. And I'll tell you, it makes me very excited because that's what we're here to showcase, right? We really do want to showcase the culture at Bulk and why all these employees think it's such a great place to be and why it turns out such good work. It takes a village, and you guys have really proven that here with us today, fellas. Thank you again for your time here. I open up a little bit of time at the end of every segment for what I call final thoughts. And your final thoughts, guys, can be absolutely anything. Maybe you got a family member, kids are listening to the show, or your wife's listening to the show, or you want to send a message to some of the other employees at the company or management. It's wide open. You can say whatever you want. And Rob, I'm going to put you on the spot here and start with you. Final thoughts for us today before we let you get back to work.
Final thoughts are, we're hiring. Come to see me.
There you go. If you're listening to this episode and it sounds like a good gig, you get in touch with Rob out in Fairborn.
That's fine.
Mike, final thoughts for you, man. Really appreciate the time today.
Well, if I ever have to move to Fairborn, I know I'm transferring since they're hiring. I appreciate it, Rob. But
no problem.
No, it's just I am so comfortable working here. I'm a little bit older than Rob. I'm not thinking about retirement yet, even though Jason at every dinner says that I'm retiring, but I'm not. I want to get to 30 years at Bulk Transit if Andrea and them will have me, and as long as I can pass that physical. But other than that, it's great. I'm very happy here. So.
Well, if you feel like you're in danger of failing the physical, I got some furniture that can be moved out here in Eugene. So you come over and give me a help on the weekend. We'll get you whipped into shape. All right, Mike?
All right, I appreciate that.
Mike Short and Rob Shope, you guys have been fantastic today. Really appreciate the time, fellas. Take care. I will say, Rob, be safe out on the yard. Mike, you be safe out there on the road. All right, fellas?
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Marcus.
Big thanks going out to Rob and Mike for their time. Listen, that's something that's kind of the underappreciated, maybe the offensive line of this podcast. If you like a football reference, it's the time that you guys give to me. I understand fully that everybody that I'll talk to on this show does not work as a podcaster. That's my job. And I'm asking people all the time to come on this show and take, 45 minutes, an hour out of their busy day. So first and foremost, to Rob and Mike and everyone else that's already joined me and everyone that will, your time is very, very valuable. I know that. I understand time is money in the trucking industry. So big thanks to those guys for taking some time out of their day and giving it to the podcast here. That's what makes the content great. You guys I depend on you for that. So again, hats off to those guys and everybody that's joined me. You just heard Rob and Mike talk a little bit about hauling, of course, limestone, cement, sand, talc. And when we were having the conversation, one thing really stood out to me. Mike said something that was pretty simple, but it was powerful. He said it's nice knowing that you're producing a product for millions of individuals every day. And that really is not an exaggeration based on my research here. Limestone alone is one of the most important materials in modern civilization. I feel comfortable saying that. Not rare earth metals, not oil, not silicone, limestone. Let me hit you with some facts here, okay? Every year, the United States produces roughly 1.3 billion tons of crushed limestone. That's billion with a B, right? Limestone is the most used industrial material in the world. That is a fact. Let's put it in perspective. The U.S. produces enough limestone every single year to fill 65 million truckloads. To put that into perspective, that line of traffic could wrap around the earth 25 times. Listen, every single one of those tons moved by drivers like Mike, drivers like the guy Rob manages every single day. Fact number 2. Told you I was going to hit you with some facts. I hope you got your fact checker ready because I did some pretty good research here, and I got a lot of these. Every single road you drive on exists because of limestone. Rob talked a lot about ground stabilization, and here's why that matters. Without limestone stabilization, roads fail. I mentioned that video from Omaha. Go look it up. It just happened like a couple of weeks ago. By the time you guys hear this, that video will still be making the rounds out there. It is just a sinkhole where the stabilization failed. And limestone is used to stabilize roadbeds, strengthen foundations, prevent sinkholes, improve drainage, and increase load-bearing capacity. Without it, highways would collapse faster, buildings would crack, and infrastructure wouldn't last. The stretch of highway you drove this morning, the warehouse you delivered to, the parking lot at the truck stop, limestone was involved in every single one of them. Fact number 3, concrete is literally impossible without limestone. Concrete is made from cement. Cement is made primarily from limestone. Concrete is the most used man-made material on Earth. The world uses 30 billion tons of concrete every year. That equals about 3.8 tons of concrete per person on Earth annually. Okay? 3.8 tons of concrete for every dude walking around per year. That is phenomenal. Every building you see, every bridge, every overpass, every warehouse starts with limestone in a trailer. It really does. And as we continue to zoom out here, I think you'll understand the importance of comparing and contrasting flour and minerals, right? Two sides of the work that you great individuals over there at Bulk and Spur are doing. Fact number 4. Limestone makes your drinking water safe. Bet you didn't know that. Well, actually, probably did. Rob mentioned pebble lime being used in water treatment, and this is huge. Nearly every municipal water system in America uses lime to remove impurities, balance pH, remove heavy metals, and make water safe to drink. So when you turn on your faucet, the water that comes out is safe in part because of a driver that delivered limestone. Unless you live in Flint, Michigan, which I don't know what's going on over there. I know Ohio and Michigan's got this friendly little rivalry, but I mean, maybe if we could just get a little bit of pebble lime over to Flint, because it's bad over there. But I digress. Bulk drivers literally are helping, bulk and spur drivers, literally are helping people, helping provide people with clean drinking water. That's not poetic. That's not me trying to stand up on my castle. That's a fact. And fact number 5 is ready for your ear holes right now. Limestone is actually in your car. Mike mentioned hauling limestone to companies making rubber and automotive components. Yes, limestone, in fact, is used in tires, plastics, paint, brake pads, carpet backing, rubber floor mats. The average car contains over 300 pounds of limestone-derived materials. The car next to you on the highway, limestone helped build it. They don't know it. They don't know that you're hauling the building blocks of life for their Ford Focus, but you are, indeed. Fact number 6, your house exists because of limestone. Are you getting the point here? You're kind of putting it all together, I'm sure, by this point. We're 6 facts in, and every single one of those facts has been like, hey, this stuff is all over your daily life. Well, your house is no exception. Limestone is used in, of course, concrete foundations. We talked about that. Wallboard, roofing shingles. Rob mentioned Atlas Roofing and the talc that they're putting on the back to keep those shingles from sticking together. I don't know if you've ever accidentally touched the back of a shingle and had it stick to your hand for the rest of your life, but that stuff's very important because if they were to touch and stick, there's no way you would ever peel them apart. Mortar, stucco, glass, limestone and all of it, friends. Without limestone, modern housing just would not exist. Okay? Limestone isn't part of construction. It is construction. It's that simple. Fact number 7, this one's kind of fun. Even those clay pigeons that Mike mentioned, yeah, about 70% limestone. The Mike was casual about that, slipped it in like it didn't immediately want to make me go shoot some trap. If you've even just been recreational shooting, then you've depended upon limestone, which is crazy to think of because, hey, I had no idea that's what I've always heard them called clay pigeons. I've never heard them called limestone pigeons, but they're 70% limestone. So kind of seems like maybe we should just be calling them lime pigeons from now on. And I will be doing that, and I will be taking every opportunity to educate anyone that tries to tell me different. I will point them to Always Pneumatic, Never Static, so they can get edumacated. Fact number 8, mineral drivers are moving the foundation of the economy. This one is right down the middle. The U.S. construction industry is worth $2.1 trillion annually. Every product depends on raw material delivery, and that delivery happens by truck. Not rail, not pipeline, truck. Nothing gets built until a bulk or a spur driver shows up. That's what I'm trying to tell you here. It really does begin with you, okay? And to come back now that I'm kind of through my facts, all right? I got you, what was that, 8 facts? That's pretty good work, all right? 8 facts by me. Man, I'm really putting my nose to the limestone today. Did you get what I did there? But calling back to Mike's point here, Mike said something else very important. He said it's actually very physical work. It's not just sitting in a seat holding the steering wheel. And Mike likes it that way. Mike does 3 to 4 loads a day. It's something people outside trucking might not understand, and that mineral hauling is not passive. You're opening lids, you're managing valves, monitoring pressure, running blowers, connecting hoses, managing loads. It's very skilled labor. Now, if you're out there listening to this right now thinking, man, I kind of want to go to work for bulk, but that part sounds crazy. Well, listen, it's just like any other kind of trucking, all right? If you're hauling tanker right now, the very first time you jumped in a tanker, you didn't know what the heck was going on with all that plumbing, but you figured it out. And it's the same thing. Mike mentioned it. He said now he's been doing it for so long, he doesn't even have to necessarily watch the valves. He can hear what's going on and understand that there's a problem. That is skilled labor in a nutshell. He's been doing it so long that the timbre of the hoses alert Mike if something's going wrong. So it's something that can definitely be learned. Attention to detail, very important. We talked about that as well. Mike also talked about blowing the dirt out of his cab sometimes 3 times a day. And Rob talked about how hard it is to keep trucks clean in some of the environments that bulk and spur drivers work in. And that's the difference between mineral hauling and food grade, right? Last week's episode. Man, food grade requires sterility, and I mean it, right? I don't want to get sick after eating the pizza for any reason other than I ate too much pizza and or donuts. But mineral hauling requires durability. And hey, hats off to the driver that Rob mentioned that has a truck that's showroom clean even 4 or 5 years in. That's probably what I would call the outlier and not the average driver there. But cleanliness still does reflect pride, and you can definitely hear that. You might not be hauling food, but you are hauling something that is just as important, the raw materials that build the world around us. And you know what? You're in some dirty environments, man, but that cleanliness, drivers take some pride in it. And hey, let's be honest, bulk's got some really nice equipment, so all good equipment looks better when it's clean. I understand that, makes sense, but not always the easiest job to stay clean in, so keep that in mind if you're thinking about it. Now, here's the truth. Nobody notices limestone. Nobody thinks about limestone. Nobody thanks limestone drivers. But without them, we've got no roads, we've got no buildings, we've got no infrastructure, we've got no clean water, we've got no modern life, we've got no lime pigeons. So you're not just hauling rock here at Bulk and Spur, you're hauling the formation of modern civilization. And I think that that's really important. The flower guys feed the country and me. Mineral guys build it. Either way, nothing happens until a bulk or a spur driver shows up. And that's what I want you to take away from today's episode. This has been a fun one. I want to thank Mike and Rob again for their time. And I want to tell you, head on over to podcast.bulktransit.com. If you would like to take part in an episode, we would love to have you. And the entire team here wants you to know that. It's not just me. I'm the face of the thing. I'm the guy you all see and hear. But let me tell you, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. And I want to take this moment real quick just to pass on a quick thank you to the podcast team that's working behind the scenes to bring this to you every week. That is Jessica. That is Mike. That is Tyler. That is Ari. That is Lurie. That is Hannah. And that is Keisha, and the list goes on. There's a bunch of them out there, and they all do really good work. We couldn't do it without them. We really couldn't do it without you, Bulk and Spur. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static. Head on over to podcast.bulktransit.com to get in touch with me and learn about all the awesome things we have going on here at the APNS show. I'm Marcus, your host. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
And that's all she blows for today's episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static, your #1 and probably only pneumatic trucking podcast, brought to you by Bulk Transit. Thanks for rolling with us today. Till next time, stay safe, keep those lines clear, and keep it pumping.